C.J. Walker before?
Yes.
Okay, so Sarah Breedlove is actually C.J. Walker. So Madam C.J. Walker was born as Sarah Breedlove, and she was born in December, or on December 23rd, 1867, and she died on May 25th, 1919. She was an African-American entrepreneur, philanthropist, and political and social activist. She is recorded as the first female self-made millionaire in America in the Guinness Book of World Records. And special mention of that, she is recorded as the first self-made millionaire, not a female millionaire, not black female necessarily, but female period. So she was considered the first here in the United States. And then some sources mention that another woman who we'll talk about in a little while, Mary Ellen Pleasant, might have been the first millionaire, but her documented wealth was not well documented at the time. So, Madam C.J. Walker, do you know what she created?
Yeah.
What she created?
Perm.
She created perm, but she created a lot of hair products for black people, particularly black women. At the time, they could not, or black women couldn't find certain products to help take care of their hair, as their hair was more coarse and they use the term, they call it the term kinky or nappy, I guess.
Yeah.
But she found ways in which to create products that allow women, African American women, to fix their hair and actually straighten their hair. And she was born once again December 23rd, 1867, in Delta, Louisiana. Her parents are Owen and Marnera Breedlove, and she had 5 siblings, and also which include an older sister and 4 brothers. She was orphaned at the age of 7 after her parents died. I think her mother died in 1872, likely of cholera, which was a very bad disease at the time. And then as she was orphaned at the age of 10, she lived with Ludina and her brother-in-law, Jesse Powell. She started working as a child as a domestic servant. She stated that she had little or no opportunity when she started out in life, having been left an orphan and being without a mother or father since she was 7 years old, as she recounted. She also recounted that she had only 3 months of formal education, so she only went to school for basically 3 months, and which she learned during Sunday school literary lessons at the church she attended during her earlier years. So she basically learned how to read during her Sunday school literacy classes at her church. Now, later, as she began to work, she did work as a laundress, someone who would do other people's laundry. And then she was determined to make enough money to provide her daughter with a formal education. During the 1880s, she lived in a community where ragtime music was developed. She sang at the St. Paul African Methodist Episcopal Church and started to yearn for an educated life as she watched the community of women in her church. So she wanted to have more education, as she was not formally educated the way most were at that time. And so she eventually created a formula that helped for the ladies to straighten their hair and keep their hair together, and a mixture of petroleum jelly and sulfur that had been used for 100 years, but she was able to develop it in a certain way. And she married Charles Walker in 1906 and became known as Madam C.J. Walker. And that's where her name came from, her husband, basically C.J. Walker. She marketed herself as an independent hairdresser and retailer of cosmetic creams. Madeline was adopted from women pioneers of the French beauty industry. And so, in a way, she didn't use her name Sarah Breedlove because sometimes that would make certain people not want to buy if they knew it was a woman entrepreneur. But she was cleverly used her husband's name and then added Madam to the front of her name in order to attract people thinking, when you hear Madam C.J. Walker, they didn't know she was black or white. So you have people buying her products not knowing, that Madam, they're thinking she's someone from France. So she was very clever in that regard. And then her company continued to expand to the point where that she sold many products and became the first self-made female friend and financial supporter of John Brown and well-known among the abolitionists. She helped women who lived in California during the second gold rush to stay safe and became self-sufficient. And the abolitionists were primarily men and women that wanted to end slavery, and they helped to smuggle slaves to different places during the Underground Railroad in order to help them to escape. And when she was younger, her mother had disappeared when she was a child. At the time, they were in Massachusetts, or I'm sorry, Philadelphia or Cincinnati. Then a gentleman, Mr. Williams, brought her to Nantucket, Massachusetts, where she was there raised by and associated with Quakers and other abolitionists. And one thing about Quakers, they were very much against slavery at the time, and so they actually helped several slaves escape, including the Quakers that were here in this region known as New Garden. Has anyone heard of New Garden before? So the New Garden area, part of Greensboro, before it was part of Greensboro, is actually known as the New Garden area, which was established by Quakers. That's why you have Gifford College, which was established by Quakers. You have Friends Home over there. Friends, the Quakers would call themselves the Friends, and so they were known as the Friends of the people, and so that's where Friends Home has its name over there. It's a assisted living facility. So everything within the New Garden area, and you know all the homes and things in New Garden were all part of the New Garden settlement that was settled by Quakers. And so they smuggled a lot of black people up north into other places during the Underground Railroad. So she became very popular and made a lot of money during that time. And it doesn't state exactly everything she did, but it states that she was involved in several things, including being a real estate magnate, meaning she owned properties and rented her properties out for other people to live in. So that is Mary Ellen Pleasant. And then the last young lady, so let's pull this back up. Has anyone heard of Meg James before? Okay, so May Carol Jamison was born October 17, 1956. She's an American engineer, physician, and former NASA astronaut. She became the first black woman to travel into space when she served as a mission specialist above the Space Shuttle Endeavour. Jameson joined NASA's Astronaut Corps in 1987 and was selected to serve for the STS-47 mission, during which she orbited Earth for nearly 8 days on September 12th through 20th,